We're going to learn how to play song number 35, the Surprise Symphony on the trombone. We're going to work on the very first line to start. There are no eighth notes on this line. We're just playing straight through with nothing fancy. No tricks or anything like that. So going through the notes, we have B1, B1, D4, D4, F1, F1, D4. Let's try that. Starting on B1. D4. F1. D4. Good. The next part we have E3, E3, C6, C6, A2, A2, F1. Let's try that. Starting on E3. C6. A2. High F1. The next part we have B1, B1, D4, D4, F1, F1, D4. Here we go. B1, D4, F1, D4. And the last part we have C6, C6, A2, A2, B1. So starting on the C6. A2, B1. We're going to try through that. We're going to walk you through that whole song one more time. Here we go. So B1, B1, D4, D4, F1, F1, D4. 1, 2, ready, play. Next part. E3, E3, C6, C6, A2, A2, F1. Starting on the E3. Ready? And next part, just like the beginning. B1, B1, D4, D4, F1, F1, D4. Ready? And then the last part we have C6, C6, A2, A2, B1. Let's play it. Ready? And great job. We're going to be playing just the first line along to a metronome at metronome marking of 60. Try your best to stay along with the beat. Remember, we're only playing the first line of number 35 for the moment. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great job. Now we're going to look at the next two lines. It says variation. And what a variation is it's going to change the song. It's still going to be the same song. It's going to be the same notes, and all the notes are going to be in exactly the same order. The way we're going to change the song, though, is we're going to alternate the rhythm. We're going to change the rhythm, and we're going to add eighth notes to the rhythm. So be careful. It is called Surprise Symphony. They are going to try to surprise you and trick you. They're going to change the rhythm on you where you least expect it, and they might add a rest and surprise you with that as well. We're going to walk you through this again. So starting on the second line, we have B1, 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 D4, 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 F1, 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 D4. So let's try that. Starting on a B1. D4, F1, D4. Then you have a comma. The next part we have E3, 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 C6, C6, C6. Be careful. Right here, your next note's an A2, but they changed the rhythm on you. Surprise, it's no longer bum, bum, bum. It's bum, bum, bum. So the notes are fast to start. So be careful that that's your first surprise. So we have A2, A2, A2. And then a high F1. Now we're on the next line. You have B1, 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 D4, 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 and then you have a rest. Be careful, don't miss the rest. That's a new surprise. So let's try, and then you have F1, D4. Let's try that. B1, D4. Rest, F1, D4. And then we end the song with C6, C6, C6. Surprise, A2 is a different rhythm. Be careful. A2, A2, A2. B1, 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 B1. Let's try that. So starting on the C6. And then A, A, A. B1. Let's walk through that whole song one more time. We're starting on the second line of 35. It's where it's underneath where it says variation. So starting from the beginning, we have B1, 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 D4, 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 F1, 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 D4. Let's try that. The next part we have E3, 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 C6, 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 A2, 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 F1. Let's try that. Well, the next line. B1, 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 D4, 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 rest. F1, D4. Here's the B1. Rest. The last part we have C6, 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 A2, 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 F1, B1, 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 B1. Let's try that. So we're going to start from the variation, the second line again. We're going to play all the way through. Just the second and third line using a metronome, and a metronome marking is 60. Try your best to stay along with the beat. And then we'll go back and play the whole entire 3 lines together. So this is just the second and third line. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is just the second and third line. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next line. Rest. Great job. Now, we're going to go back and play all 3 lines without stopping. Here we go from the very, very beginning of 35. 1. Oh, if you get lost, I will call out every time we get to a comma, and I'll also let you know when we get to the next line. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Comma. 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 Next line. Rest. Comma. Great job. Now, if you have trouble with any part of that, remember you don't have to play all the way through the song. You can break the song up, stop the video lesson that I'm teaching you on right now, and just that section and work on the section. If you want to record the song in separate sections, you're more than welcome to send me more than one recording broken up. Good luck. Remember, if you have any questions on how to play it, you can log into my office hours between 9 and 11 and then 1 and 3, and I'm more than happy to work with you anytime. Have a great day, and I can't wait to hear your recordings.